day 893 of the Trump administration. The president is now touting his unprecedented meeting with North Korea's dictator and issuing new warnings to Iran as he plans a 4th of July celebration featuring tanks and a display of the nation's military hardware. More on that 4th of July event in a moment, but just a few hours ago, Donald Trump sent out this message about his impromptu weekend summit with Kim Jong-un in the Korean Peninsula's demilitarized zone. Quote, "It was great being with Chairman Kim Jong-un of North Korea this weekend. We had a great meeting. He looked really well and very healthy. I look forward to seeing him again soon. In the meantime, our teams will be meeting to work on some solutions to very long-term and persistent problems. No rush, but I'm sure we will ultimately get there." The New York Times reports the administration is weighing whether to accept a deal that would limit North Korea's nuclear arsenal. Quote, "The concept would amount to a nuclear freeze, one that essentially enshrines the status quo and tacitly accepts the North as a nuclear power, something administration officials have often said they would never stand for." Trump's national security advisor, John Bolton, who did not accompany his boss to the Kim Jong-un meeting because he was on a diplomatic mission to Mongolia, responded to the Times reporting this denial. Quote, "Neither the NSC staff nor I have discussed or heard of any desire to settle for a nuclear freeze by North Korea." Meanwhile, Trump is also wasting no time in comparing his strategy for dealing with North Korea to the previous administration's, claiming Obama officials had sought meetings with the North Korean dictator but were rebuffed.
President Obama wanted to meet, and Chairman Kim would not meet him. The Obama administration was begging for a meeting. They were begging for meetings constantly, and Chairman Kim would not meet with him.
Obama's former national security advisor, Susan Rice, had something to say about that, writing, quote, "At the risk of stating the obvious, this is horse expletive," although her tweet didn't contain the term expletive. As we mentioned, Trump is also escalating his threats against Iran. Today, Tehran said it has exceeded the stockpile limit for low-enriched uranium allowed under the 2015 nuclear deal between Iran and world powers, a deal that Trump pulled the U.S. out of. Now, that alone won't give Iran enough material to produce a single nuclear weapon, but it does move the country in that direction. Late today, Trump was asked about this latest development.
Mr. President, any message to Iran?
No message to Iran. They know what they're doing. They know what they're playing with, and I think they're playing with fire.
Moments after that, Trump was questioned about his planned salute to America on Independence Day later this week in Washington. Now, you may recall that he attempted to mount a military parade for 2 years, but those plans had to be scrapped. The New York Times writes that the president, quote, "believes that the inclusion of tanks and other weapons in the July 4th celebration would help to transform the capital city's annual event into the kind of military celebration he has long wanted." After watching the Bastille Day parade in 2017 in Paris, Mr. Trump said, "We may do something like that on July 4th in Washington down Pennsylvania Avenue." This afternoon, he announced that the nation's firepower will be on display in the Capitol on Thursday. A Republican National Committee spokeswoman confirms to NBC News that the party has already received a block of free tickets, but refused to say how many. Several of those tickets have already gone to top donors. All right, here for our leadoff discussion on a Monday night, Ashley Parker, Pulitzer Prize-winning White House reporter for The Washington Post, Gordon Chang, columnist for The Daily Beast and author of Nuclear Showdown, North Korea Takes on the World, and Annie Carney, White House reporter with The New York Times. Welcome to all three of you. Gordon, I want to start with you about this tweet that the president sent out talking about Kim Jong-un and how healthy he looks and how really well he is. What is that tweet an answer to?
This is really strange. It's an answer to certain observers who were there yesterday and thought and heard Kim wheeze. You remember Kim walked from what the North Koreans call the monkey house down to the military demarcation line and then over it to the South Korean house. They said that he was really winded. And I think what President Trump was doing was responding to that narrative, which has been carried on one of the other cable networks.
Ashley, Donald Trump appeared this weekend, or at least he said that this weekend he advanced U.S. interests. What's the read from White House staff on what actually happened?
Well, one thing that has been tricky is when they've been pressed publicly, frankly, and privately, other than the fact that, yes, it was sort of had the drama and the showmanship the president loves, and it was historic in the fact that he became the first sitting U.S. president to walk into North Korea. They can't actually tangibly tell you what this actually means for U.S. policy towards North Korea, any deal or relationship with North Korea, what has changed, you know, what sort of the new deliverable or goal is from the summit that fell apart in Hanoi or the meeting in Singapore. There frankly just is not a clear answer.
But Annie, the president was very dismissive of media efforts to question him about the meeting with Kim Jong-un. Let's just play a little of what he had to say.
You've made this very public invitation to Kim Jong-un.
Yeah.
Will it be a bad sign if he doesn't show up?
No, of course I thought of that because I know if he didn't, everybody's going to say, oh, he was stood up by Chairman Kim. We've made tremendous strides. Only the fake news says that they weren't. A lot of progress has been made. I watched some of the news, fake news, it's only fake news, and they said, well, what's been done? Well, it's like the difference between day and night. They have no appreciation for what's been done. None.
Annie, what's the big deal with the president? Why did he so badly want this meeting and this picture and the walk into North Korea more than he seems to want to have some substantive agreement?
Well, he likes firsts, and he likes to be in the history books, and he will now be in the history books for being the first American president to step over that line and set foot in that soil. But, you know, in these rebuttals to what he calls the fake news media, like, he is, I would say, show don't tell. Like Ashley said, it's not, he continues to say that we're getting it wrong, huge strides have been made, but there's no clear agenda that the White House is telling us was achieved. And one piece of this puzzle that Donald Trump consistently overlooks is the wins that he's giving to Kim Jong-un by giving him the platform of meeting 3 times now with the American president as equals. That handshake was all over the North Korean media. It was a huge propaganda win for Kim Jong-un. And Donald Trump liked the photos and the pageantry as well. But he never really addresses that by meeting him, he is elevating Kim Jong-un to be an equal as the leader of the free world. And he doesn't seem to see that or acknowledge that part of the puzzle.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.